Hey, what's up, guys? It's Trim here again. I wanted to go ahead today and bring you my honest Ghost of Tsushima review. So the game starts off in the midst of a Mongol invasion, and you play as a samurai known as Jin Sakai. It is your duty to defend the island against the Mongol invaders, but things go south as all the samurai are defeated, and you quickly discover that you are one of the last samurai left. After the samurai are defeated, Jin realizes that the enemy is unlike anything they've ever faced before, and that the rigid code of the samurai may not be enough to stop them. He has to choose between fighting as an honorable samurai or embracing less honorable methods of combat and becoming the Ghost of Tsushima. It's a compelling narrative that will have you glued to the edge of your seat to figure out what happens next as Jin adventures across the land in search of allies to help him combat the Mongol invaders. So to start out, Ghost of Tsushima is one of the most beautiful games I have ever played. The environments are absolutely gorgeous. Whether you're riding through the wilderness as the sunset begins to crop up in the background, or fighting your way through hordes of Mongol enemies and warlords, this game will continue to stun you with how absolutely beautiful it really is. But that's not all the open world has to offer. As you explore, you can come across things such as Inari shrines, which are basically shrines that, when you go to them and you pray at them, you will gain extra slots so that you can slot in charm upgrades. There are bamboo cutting areas out in the open world to find so that you can upgrade your resolve. There are also haikus that you can compose. You have to find a spot in the open world and then you can write a haiku, which is okay, I guess. You'll find song crickets so that you can, I guess, unlock new songs for your little flute that you carry around. And there are various side quests scattered throughout all of Tsushima. They're kind of divided into different categories. So the way that I would divide the side quests is you have your mythic side quests, which are quests that help you discover like legendary gear and abilities to upgrade your character and that sort of thing. And those are some of the more interesting ones because they always culminate with like a really cool samurai duel at the end, and then you unlock abilities and get good gear. Then there are the side quests where you have to assist kind of the members of your team as you try to build your inner circle of samurai friends to help you tackle the Mongol invasion. Then there are the basic Tales of Tsushima, and those are kind of your, I don't know, standard side quests that kind of just feel a little bit like filler. Unfortunately, most of those kind of boil down to go here and kill some Mongols.
Mongolian? What the hell Mongolian doing here? Hey, fuck you, Mongolian!
However, the combat is interesting enough to where even if you are just killing Mongols, it's still fun because the combat is great in this game, and that's something I want to talk about next. At first, the combat starts out being a little bit bland. You have your basic fast attacks and strong attacks, and that's all the game gives you at first. But as you go through the game and you progress and you unlock new stances and new abilities and new tools, and you learn how to block and parry and that kind of thing, the combat does get a lot more interesting and a lot more engaging. And it feels like it's Sekiro meets the Batman Arkham series almost. That's how I can describe the combat. It's very fluid. It feels good to use. The enemies aren't stupid, especially if you play on hard. They will do their best to flank you and swarm you while their archers sit back and shoot at you. I frequently had trouble with them, and oftentimes I had to make sure that I would take out the archers first, that I didn't get shot in the back while I was in the middle of a fight. So it's not like they just come at you one at a time and then die. They will swarm you, and the combat is challenging, but when you get good at it, it is extremely satisfying. It's not as challenging as something like Sekiro, but it's a happy medium that I think everybody will enjoy. However, just like in Sekiro, there are some really cool boss fights, and periodically throughout the game, you will have to do 1v1 samurai duels. And those are really fun to do. My only complaint with them is, like, almost all of them, except for maybe 2 fights, all use the same moveset, and so they don't really feel super unique. So once you learn, one of the character's movesets, that's it, and you're pretty much good to go for samurai duels. All you have to really do is upgrade your gear, and, so you take less damage, do more damage, that kind of thing. And the way that gear is handled in this game is actually done so well. You will find multiple different gear sets throughout the game, but since there is no leveling system in this game, none of the gear is out-leveled when you use it, and they all have different bonuses to different things. So some of the gear will have bonuses to sneaking, some of the gear will have bonuses to melee damage, some of the gear will have bonuses to the amount of health you get, so you can take more damage. Some of the armor will have extra stagger on it, so you can stagger your enemies, or you can terrify them and make them run away. Some of the gear is better for archery, and none of it is useless. It's all used for something, and I think that's what this game does very well. So instead of overloading the game with a bunch of useless gear that you're just going to out-level and never use again, the game makes every piece of gear that you acquire useful in some way. Most of the gear sets and weapon sets you can also upgrade using supplies that you find out in the open world, or just getting them from missions in the gift shrine. That will make your gear stronger and do more damage. There are also a variety of new ways you can actually upgrade your character beyond just upgrading the gear and the armor. As you progress through the game, you will unlock different stances that are basically useful against different types of enemies, whereas water stance is great against shield users, moon stance is good against the big brute characters, and stone stance is good against sword users. Each one of these stances is good against a specific type of enemy. They also have different skill trees within those stances so that you can learn new abilities. Not only that, but there are basic samurai abilities that you can learn as far as parrying and dodging. There is the mythic skills that you can learn. There is also a skill tree for ghost weaponry and ghost skills that you can get. So you can customize your character however it's your playstyle the best. Whether you like stealth or whether you like going in and just mowing everything down head-on like a samurai. However, with all the praise that I have given this game, I do have some complaints with it. It is not a perfect game by any means. This game has some bugs. They weren't game-breaking in any way, but they did come up from time to time. The only one that really interfered with my gameplay was one that made my character just run in circles, like even when my controller was off, so I basically had to restart the whole game, and that made me lose some progress, but it wasn't too bad. Most of the other bugs that you'll find in this game are honestly just kind of funny and humorous, and like don't mess with you too much, but they are there, so it does need to be said. There are also some really bad character models and animations, which is just weird because it's set in this beautiful backdrop and the world around you is amazing and gorgeous, and then some of the characters are just ugly and look like they came out of a PS2 game sometimes. Like, they're rigid, their animations are terrible, and it just feels really out of place, and it can be really immersion breaking. Now, the next complaint I have with this game is the camera. It doesn't automatically adjust itself when you're in combat, so sometimes the camera will get fixated on a post while you're in the middle of combat, and then you can't see your character, and then everyone around you just kills you because you can't see, and you have to manually move the camera. That's pretty frustrating. And it did get me killed more than once. Now, lastly, I do feel like there is something to be said for exploration, but I'm one of those people that if I explore something, I want there to be something at the end. I want to be able to find something cool and get some great reward. And I think that's where this game falters a little bit, is the open world can feel a little bit empty and stale after a while. And I feel like they could have done just a little bit more to make it feel like they are living in a living, breathing world. There is also a lack of choices that you get to make in this game, which I felt was really disappointing. It's hard for me not to compare to other open world games that were very successful, like The Witcher and Red Dead, where you had choices that mattered and really impacted the ending of the game and how things unfolded. In this game, there is none of that. It is a very linear game, which is a very strange choice to me in an open world game, because there are multiple points in the story where I felt I should have had a choice on what to do, and the game didn't let me do it. And I understand they wanted to tell their story, and that's great, but in 2020, in open world, I expect more than that. I expect to be able to make these decisions and impact the story in whatever way I see fit. Anyway, guys, that is basically all I had as far as negatives for this game. Overall, it's a great game, it's a fun game, and it's probably the best samurai game out there. But it has some problems, and if I had to give this game a score, I would probably give it about an 8.5. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching my review. Bye.